Hello everybody, it's Sunday evening, it's 7 o'clock in the UK. We will get on with our lecture for this evening. So, this evening, the 1946 London Lectures, Lecture 30 from the 4th of December, Normalisation. And I've made my notes as usual for you, so here we go. So Montessori calls this the challenge of moral education. So Montessori begins in this lecture by explaining that moral education is something that can't be taught through sermons or punishment. It comes around through that beautiful environment that we create. And it's why it's so important that we train, that we understand this great method, that we know how to prepare ourselves and how to prepare our environment and how to be with our children. And Montessori wrote, "Moral behaviour does not result from corrections or sermons. It's not possible to teach morality directly. It develops indirectly through the environment, through what we prepare for the children, through trusting in them to work, through us as the adult, and then it develops in the children, in themselves. It's the three of us all working together in harmony. But it's difficult, isn't it? We have to get to this point. So the adult, the child and the environment, Montessori says, are a trinity. They have to be considered as one." So the role of our environment in this process. Montessori really emphasises then that the environment is fundamental. What we set up has to be right. And as I've said before, having wooden toys on a shelf unit and a floor bed is not Montessori. There's so much more to it. It's a good start, and if that's where you're up to, fantastic. But you need to learn more. Montessori is really an educational method meant for school, but you can adapt and be Montessori at home too. So the school setting really has to nourish the children physically and their psychic development as well. Everything the child needs to develop this beautiful level of normalisation has to be provided for in our prepared environment. And Montessori wrote, "The environment, especially the environment of the school, is crucial," which is why, again, we have to learn what it is we're doing. So each child has this inner power that unfolds naturally when they're supported in the right conditions. But if those conditions are blocked or things happen that shouldn't, we have repressions or we have control or we have lack of movement. What is control? Control is the teacher saying to the children, "Go and get work out." It's an invitation. What would you like to do today? Well, I'd like to sit in the book corner and relax for 10 minutes and just, take my time to settle. It's not go and get work out. Or making your children sit. Everybody has to sit down now because it's work time. A lack of movement causes these regressions as well. It means children are not following that inner drive that they need. And then their development is hindered. And this process of normalisation then slows or isn't happening at all because we're not meeting the needs of the children. Especially our 2 to 3 year olds, they're in that stage of needing to move, needing to perfect those movements. And I was actually talking to one of my Montessori friends today. She came to visit me and we had a wonderful talk about, starting the morning work cycle. Actually, they're 2 and 3 year olds. They haven't walked to school, they've all arrived in a car. And what better than their purposeful activity being a walk into the environment to look at things, to collect things, to count things. It's all purposeful work. Purposeful work doesn't need 4 walls round it and a child on a chair at a table. Anything they're doing to develop themselves that's purposeful, that has a meaning, that they're learning from it, it's all good quality work. So Montessori wrote, "Children are repressed when they are prevented from doing those special activities that nature imposes on the human personality in order to grow well." So it's really important that we respect our children and the work that they need. We don't know why a child may come in every day and settle in the book corner with a book. Maybe they just need time to calm themselves. Why a child comes in every day and goes straight for colouring something? Is it a therapy that they need just to calm themselves while they gather their thoughts because home was really noisy or the drive to school was really upsetting? We have to trust in the child that they are settling themselves. Concentration doesn't have to be on what we would look at as an academic task. I can be concentrating while I'm exploring the nature table. I can be concentrating while I colour a picture. It all helps develop my concentration and helps me become the person I'm going to be. So with our behaviours then and consequences, if children are kept inactive or constantly corrected, they lose that joy of learning, don't they? They lose that natural curiosity. And Montessori calls this repressions. And I must admit, I see a lot of this in, in mainstream schools, especially. Children are, it's time now, you're in year 1 or you're in year 2, so you have to all come and sit at the desk now, and we're all doing this activity, and sit still, stop wiggling, stop talking. And children are constantly criticised for what they're doing, and then there's a cloud and a rainbow up on the wall, and if you couldn't sit still in your lesson, or you kept flicking with something, your name's on the cloud because you couldn't sit still. And all of a sudden, being at school isn't a joy, it's a punishment. And I don't feel good about going here, and I don't want to go there anymore because I'm constantly criticised. And why would any of us put ourselves into an environment that knocks our confidence and our self-esteem? We protect ourselves by avoiding it. And then children don't want to go to school and they cry. And we have to listen to our children, and really understand, in a good Montessori environment where the staff are trained and they know what they're doing. These things don't happen, do they? There's not someone pointing and going, do this, draw your picture from here, you're all going to paint a leaf today. The children are there and they have free choice in the environment, and that's how they normalise, through work, through making their choices, through us trusting them that the child needs to do that. We just stop the dangerous and the disruptive, don't we? So these repressions, and they lead to discouragement in the children and destructiveness sometimes, and an inability to adapt to what it is that they really need to be doing. So if we want to avoid those behaviours, then we have to be careful ourselves with what we're doing with our children. But what is normalisation? So Montessori says that this is a process where the child's becoming their true self. In our kind and nurturing environments where they have free choice, where they follow their interests, where they're passionate about what they're doing, what happens to our children? I see them in my room all of the time. They're calm. Sometimes they're excited, but they have a calm about their work. They're joyful. They concentrate and they love their work, and they come bounding in every day. And like I've said several times before, the only times in my session they're upset is when it's time to go home. I have children who sit there and say to me, how long have I been here? And I'll say, about 1 hour. So I've still got an hour left, yeah. How long have I been here? You've got 10 minutes until you go home. Oh no! Because they would do another hour because they feel so happy. They feel trusted. They're in an environment where they can do what they want, yeah, but everything I've put out is a choice that's good for them. Every activity on the shelf is something they learn from. And by engaging in that environment, by me supporting them in a kind and loving way, the process of normalisation happens. And we have children who have a positive attitude to life, who care about their community, who care about each other, who want to go and engage and learn because it's so much fun and it makes me feel so wonderful inside. And Montessori wrote about this, we need to support our children. This is what we want to create for them if we're going to create better adults in the future, happier adults than some of our generation are. And Montessori says, when children are given this freedom with this carefully prepared environment, they heal naturally from the deviations that have happened, other things that may have happened to them before they've come into our environments. And I know some of the teachers that I interact with privately, they'll write to me about children who are suffering and children who are unsettled, and they know it's because they've been in a system in school that was not pleasant for them, or they've had a parent that was really harsh with them, or other things have happened in the community that have not been good for the child. They've heard lots of bad language or experienced bad things, and it's only through us trusting our process when they come into our rooms of enabling our children to do that same activity every day, to understand why they're doing it, to understand the inner needs of the child, that we can then support them towards this journey of normalisation. And it happens much later for some children than the others, depending on the experiences they've had in their early life. And Montessori says, when children come in like this and they've had these problems, she says we must give them another chance, another form of life. We must not attempt to correct their deviations. Instead, we must give them a more normal life whereby their bodies and minds can be active in an environment that contains many motives of activity. Now, if your children are coming in and they always go for the same activity, they're sat, they're doing something, or they're up and they're building something, or they're creating something. I've got children who will come into my room and their go-to activity will be the cutting, the pencils, sticking. And that's fine, because I can see concentration building and I can see their skills improving. And, if we want to extend that, we could look at, how many pieces have you cut today? and ooh, and we could do our initial sounds with the colours, and then we could move on to, wow, have you seen all of the colours in colour box 3? Because you've got so many of them in your picture today, and all of a sudden you've directed the child off to something they're interested in, and they're perfecting those fine motor skills by respecting the colour box 3 tablets and picking them up. And then they're looking at grades of colour, and you're discussing things that could be those colours, and you've brought in the nature table, and then you've gone off onto the life cycle of something, and all of a sudden, because as a teacher you understand what children need, you've taken the child from their colouring, sticking and cutting activity they always do, and we've gone through some sensorial, and we've gone onto the nature table, and we've gone on to science, but we've followed the child, and we've trusted in that interest, that thing that gives them that comfort, their colouring, their sticking, their beautiful design they've made, but we've extended it without going, you have to come and do this now because you've done enough cutting. And that's how we work as Montessori teachers. We respect the child. We know what we've got in our environments, and if we think, I have that child coming in tomorrow, I have just the thing in the cupboard that might inspire them to extend this further, we go and get it out and we place it somewhere in our room so that then it is child-led, because our child thinks, oh, that's pretty, what's that? And they pick it up. So for an example, something I've added to my classroom this week, I found a beautiful glass flower with all different colours on it. It's absolutely beautiful. It has a long stem. So when one of my older students was in on Friday, she's very, very creative. The nature table was getting a little bit scruffy, you know, some of the conkers had gone mouldy, and we'd looked at the mould, and the pumpkin had gone mouldy and it was rotting and there was slime in the bowl. And I leave those things because I want the children to understand about things decomposing. It's all learning, isn't it? We don't tidy it away because it's got a bit scruffy. We looked at it together, and then she wanted to tidy up, and I said, oh, but I found this. And so she's, wow, this beautiful flower with all of these colours in. And we looked at it against the colour tablets, and she made it part of the display. And she said, Sandra, I'd like to put it in a vase, please, but it's rather heavy. And she knew that it was quite tall. It has a long stem. So we came into where my supplies are, and I invited her to look at the vases and find one that she thought the flower would stand in and look beautiful. And she tried several vases until she found one that took the weight of the flower, and it didn't topple over because it was weighted at the bottom and it had a wider base. And that is all trial and error, isn't it? And learning about balance. So she's bringing in her physics into it, all from renewing the nature table with me. So loads and loads of experience. You just have to think, how can I extend this for the children? Just sit back and take that time, because they're the essential things for us to do, is to think, how do I make this environment meet the needs of my children, bringing in activities they love so they can get through this process, so they can become normalised through their love of work. And Montessori talks about then the freedom and concentration. So through freedom and meaningful work, and meaningful work is meaningful to that child. It's not things that you've labelled meaningful work. It's what is meaningful to me. What is meaningful for Jack? What's meaningful for Daisy? What's meaningful for Ruby? What is meaningful for that child at that time? What is important to them? And through these important activities then, this freedom to choose these things, they begin to concentrate. And this then, this concentration that you're looking for, this starts the beginning of normalisation, because the concentration will grow. Once they've developed the ability to concentrate, they can transfer that concentration to another task. You've seen it, they're capable of it, it will carry on developing, and we can use it in anything that comes across our path that we're interested in. We know that we're not going to concentrate on things we don't like, but children will love most things if we're enthusiastic about them, if we have those wonderful things presented. They won't be enthusiastic about a disorganised, scruffy environment where things are broken and half the things are missing, because they'll never finish their tasks. And Montessori wrote then about concentration. On a given day, one child may concentrate. On another day, another child. Little by little, you'll observe the phenomenon of real concentration. And once this happens, goodwill will start coming out of this concentration, expressed in interesting work. So that is it, isn't it? It's interesting work, things that are going to interest the children, things that are going to call to them. And for me as well, I think there's nothing more exciting than brown paper packages tied up in string. And I always, when I look at a piece of work that's in a wooden box, it always reminds me of that brown paper packages tied up in string and what's inside it. And the children are the same, aren't they? Some of our things are there and they're displayed and they're bright, like the pink tower. It's pink because it's one of our early pieces. Our children are probably just coming up to 3 when they first see it. And at that age, children haven't got the biases in life. They don't think it's pink for girls and blue for boys. Nearly every child loves pink. So Montessori made the tower pink because you walk in and it stands there in all its glory. You know, when you're 3, it's almost as big as you on its stand, isn't it? And it's like that wow moment. What is this beautiful tower in this beautiful pink colour? I must go and put my hands on that and build it. And you're away and the children are working. And as well, for me, this is why the tower should be stood. It is vertical construction. It shouldn't be in a basket or laying along a shelf. It's there in all its glory for your young children to walk in and see the first time they enter your classroom. And from that they work and they concentrate. And so the process of normalisation begins because their work is beautiful. So Montessori talks about this change then, this concentration, this work, this happening through interesting work, things that call to the children, mysterious things in boxes, bright things that are beautiful, displays that they can touch, not walls full of displays because I can't get my hands on them. They just overstimulate my brain and I'm just going to zone out and not look at the walls because I can't touch them, I can't work with them. It's just some silly display somebody's put up. So my walls are just beautiful, plain pink, very similar to what you see beside me here. But this concentration then, this choosing this work, this leads to this inner change that brings the joy and the order in the children. And Montessori says then, the children's naughty behaviour disappears. It's like a fairy tale, only it's true. So the joy then and the hope of education, that normalisation transforms the entire body, the child, their body, their mind, their spirit. And once a child is normalised, the education then truly begins. I have this love of learning now. I'm so enthusiastic. And Montessori wrote, when this new child appears, education is possible. You could not educate the child as he was before. Now he is readjusted, you can begin. So we have normalised through our absorbent mind phase, and we've now got to our 6-year-old and we are ready. We are so keen to learn. We have so many wonderful skills that we've learned. We've mastered all those individual techniques from practical life. We've educated our senses through sensorial. We've learned all of our early maths. We've learned all of our letters. We're, reading. We're word building. We have such amazing knowledge and understanding of the world. I've looked at the solar system and I know about planet Earth and I know landforms and I know there's continents, and I've started learning about the cultures and the beliefs and the animals and things in different countries, and I am so fired up now. I'm entering the next plane. It's wow, what is next? I'm so excited to be coming into a new class. What am I going to learn now? And this is our children leaving that 3 to 6 stage normalised and ready for this next plane of development. Montessori wrote, after children are normalised, they can take in a whole world of education. Therefore, the great hope for education is to help the youngest. The hope is in our hands. So as the early years teachers, as those 0 to 6 practitioners, parents, we are the ones that have this massive influence in those first 6 years. It's essential that we get it right, because when we don't get it right, we see disengaged children, children who go to school, school again today, I'm looking forward to Friday. Children who only want to go to school for the golden time on Friday, whereas every minute is golden time in a Montessori nursery, isn't it? And I do understand as well that, there are other nurseries out there that aren't Montessori that still have an amazing ethos and are super with their children and completely get this. But it's, so many children don't trust in the child. So many adults, don't trust in the child, and they don't understand how clever children are, They don't need so much of the rubbish that's around and boxes and boxes of cuddly soft toys and plastic things that whiz and boom and don't actually do anything for them. So in summary then, in this essay about the process towards normalisation, it's a really clear lecture, isn't it, from Montessori. Moral development can't be taught, it has to be grown in our children, and we are there to grow it with them through the environment, through our input. And our role then is preparation of the environment, and we have to learn how to do that. You can't guess at it. You can't think, well, if I just buy nice wooden toys, I've got a Montessori environment, because you haven't. It's everything around your home. It's from the moment they step through the door. Do they take their own coat off? Do they hang their own things up? Do they take their shoes off to show respect for the house and put their slippers on? Do they understand where their items belong? Can they get themselves a drink? Can they think, I'm thirsty, I'll go and get a drink now? Or are they constantly having to ask you to wait on them? All of those things make it Montessori, that independence, that acting for myself, that thinking for myself, that coming up with ideas. The teacher's role, the parent's role, to have a prepared environment that allows this natural development is essential. So repression's then causing deviation. So we need freedom in meaningful activity, purposeful things that our children can do, because that will bring healing to the children. Children who have had problems coming into our settings, you know, if they can sit and work, start to be proud of what they do, see that they, for themselves, they're developing skills and they're getting better at things, and they're going to grow that little bit every day until the moment they come through your classroom and you think, yes, this child's there now, they're happy, they're coming in joyful, they've grown an inch, shoulders back, I just want to be here because I love it. I love and trust the people who are with me every day. I love everything on the shelves, and that has healed the child and that's supported the child on this journey of normalisation. So the normalisation, Montessori says then, is really the foundation of true education. Once we've supported the children through this phase, they're ready to go off and do everything. So I hope you enjoyed that. I found it a really interesting read in here, this one. It's only actually a short lecture again, but I've picked it apart, kept some great quotes for you, and obviously given my own ideas of what I think about this this essay as well. So thank you for joining me again. Thank you for everyone who sends stars as well. If you don't know what Facebook stars are, they're just something you can buy. I think if you go to the comments box, there's a little grey star outline. And if you click on it, Facebook gives you the option to buy stars. You can buy them in bundles of 100 or so. They don't cost that much. And then every time you see a video that you like on my page or any other creators that have reached a certain level, you can give them stars. You can just go to the little comment box, press the grey star and award someone 1 star, 10 stars, 100 stars, 1,000 stars, whatever you want. So yeah, thank you for everyone who gives stars, because it really helps with all the work I do, especially in my schools in Africa too. So we have a lot of work out there. So yeah, thank you everyone for supporting me. So what can you do this week? Watch the videos, like and comment. Tag in your Montessori friends. If you work in a nursery, go in and tell everybody about Montessori with Miss Sandra. Bring them along as well to benefit, because I know many of you, lots of you write to me privately saying, Sandra, what you say has really changed how I teach. What you say has really changed and improved how I parent. And just imagine if, you know, I could be sat here on a Sunday supporting people and talking to 100,000 people, not 30,000 people. How many children are going to benefit from that Montessori input? And like I say, you know, I do think that for £3.49 for subscribing, and these talks actually are free, that you won't get better support from anybody anywhere free. You can pay thousands and thousands of pounds to do Montessori training, or you can just come and listen to me, and it's practically free. So thank you all for listening this Sunday evening. Well done to everybody who worked out the time difference, because I can see from my audience you're all around the world. We've got people from heading over to Australia and heading across to America. So well done for finding me on the time difference. And now you've got it this week. You'll know for next week as well. So let me see how many lectures we've got left. I think we've only got 2 or 3 1946 London lectures left. Let's have a look. We've got 3 left. So it goes up to lecture number 33. So if you have a book that you'd like me to discuss, let me know and I will go through it, okay? Just suggest a book, and if it's one that I've got a huge library of Montessori books. I can pick it apart and go through it for you, and we can have that as our focus for our Montessori book, Montessori Sunday evenings from December. This will take us through to mid-November. Lovely. So thank you again for watching me. I will start again in the early hours of Monday morning. So we'll be doing our competition for the bell. So look out for that. I'll be doing all of my, you know, top followers of the week and welcoming new people. And I might even do some nice presentations this week. It's a holiday week in the UK for schools, so I am teaching tomorrow and Tuesday, and then I've got the rest of the week off. And for some of our children, they have 2 weeks off in October as well. I know my grandson does have. So I will do some extra videos for you. So if there's anything you'd like to see a presentation of, just drop me a line, and I'll try to do it if I can. So thank you all for listening. I'm going to go and have a cup of tea. And I've even got a piece of chocolate cake to have this evening, and I do love my chocolate cake. See you all soon. Thank you. You're all welcome. I can see all your thanks coming through as well. You're really, really welcome. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.